Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for the Q&A, so let's go ahead and get this started. All right, first question. I can only seem to improve the weight on my lifts if I do one set of a few different lifts, 2 to 3 different lifts every single day. I've tried all the other systems somehow without that frequency, and I get caught in a weird cycle of losing the necessary efficiency to push the lifts up. I focus on the 12 rep range and just try to push it to 20 over time. Is this an acceptable system? Will I run into issues? I also rotate variations every 12 to 14 days. No, this is not a particularly good system. And I can already tell you, number one, you're struggling to get stronger because you're exclusively doing really high reps. Number one, that's problematic. I wouldn't exclusively work in the 12 to 20 rep range. And I'm not saying I don't program and use those for myself and clients, because I do use those. You guys have seen me do 20 rep squats and good mornings and benching and everything. I wouldn't use that exclusively. Number two, I can tell you right now, you are out of shape. I know for a fact you are out of shape because you struggle when you do multiple sets of a lift in one workout. You don't have any work capacity to handle multiple sets. You're not in shape, and you haven't taken the time to correctly build the work capacity. Now, we also see this in people who try to do this well. I rest really short between sets. Well, that's why you can't improve. Longer breaks increase hypertrophy quicker. They allow you to replicate performance. No, I don't really like what you're doing, and I'm not saying it can't work. I think you're more likely to see overuse hitting the same muscles every day. I think you're using a very narrow, one specific rep range for no reason, and then talking about how you can't push the weights up higher. Okay, why don't you get on a proper system? And you can't pull this, well, I didn't respond. I get clients who tell me, I don't respond to this, I don't respond to that. And yet when I have them do it, they get stronger. Okay? And it's usually the sort of stuff you're describing they don't respond to. I don't respond to 10 rep sets. I only respond to low reps. I get that stuff. Well, it's usually guys who are out of shape who say these sort of things. They're out of shape and they can't handle multiple sets of 10. So what you need to do is drop this silliness and get on a proper program. Look, 4-day upper lower, 3 sets of each exercise that you do. Long enough breaks that you can replicate your performance between and run them. Hey, because you're talking about losing efficiency on a lift, well, you're using a high rep range. If you're only working in the 12 to 20, of course you're losing neuromuscular efficiency on lifts because you're not really developing it to begin with. I would say realistically, if you wanted to use only one rep range for a while, why don't you do the 6 to 10? Why don't you do 3 sets per exercise and only train each body part twice a week? This is one of the most proven effective systems. It's time proven. We know how to program it. I would say do that instead of what you're doing. And again, when you say something like the only things that seems to work for me is some relatively bizarre and proven system, okay, that tells me there's other things going on. You're probably either out of shape and you're not willing to put in the work to get into shape in your individual sessions. You're probably trying to take really short breaks between sets, and that's why your performance degrades rapidly. Okay, this is fixable with just better programming. All right, next question. How come you are hitting so many PRs lately? Good programming and hard work. I eat a lot of food. I sleep a lot. I do a lot of recovery, soft tissue work, focus on recovery. My lifestyle is built towards recovery, and I train hard with good programming. And as the other person pointed out there too, we're seeing a lot of accessory work. I not only do maxes, I do the maxes every workout, but I do optimal volumes of accessory work to make sure that the muscles are growing, because at the end of the day, once you're maxing out, your PRs are generally coming from hypertrophy once you're used to maxing, right? We max out to continue to maintain the ability to max, to maintain the skill of maxing out itself. But the hypertrophy is what raises our strength ceiling, right? Maxes develop our strength potential to its potential. The hypertrophy training and getting bigger raises the actual ceiling of that. I've been getting bigger. I'm gaining muscle. All right, I'm gaining muscle. And it's pretty obvious that a lot of my muscles have been growing. I mean, my legs and stuff have gotten bigger. My quads have gotten bigger. Hamstrings have gotten bigger. Therefore, we're seeing my squats and stuff go up. So, I mean, it really is that simple. It is about proper programming, proper balance, right? Proper volume, optimizing recovery. And it really is that simple. You know, it really is that simple. I'm not saying there aren't some other variables in my life that impact that, but if we're going to talk from the training end, that is absolutely what's going on, right? So that's what you're seeing. It's just my programming is dialed in, and I adjust it every single week based upon necessary changes. I don't even just follow just a strict programming. I literally adjust my programming based upon what's happening with my maxes, what's happening with my fatigue, where my weak links are, where my overuse issues are. We're continually adjusting based upon the feedback. So that I try to keep everything as close to optimal as possible. All right, next question. I can strict Pendlay Row 145 for 3x10 and GoodMorning 135 for 3x10. I do 10 speed pulls a week. I still can't deadlift 405. What else should I do to fix that? These two lifts in particular are blowing up my bench and squat, but they don't seem to be helping my deadlift at all. Thanks, coach. Well, carry the math over. Carry the math over. You've seen me pull 625 recently. What do I row in GoodMorning? What do I row in GoodMorning? Are you even remotely close? Like if you were to carry the math over and say, okay, a 405 deadlift should require you to be 2/3 of my strength. You know, a little less than 2/3. What do I row? You see me rowing, strict Pendlay rowing 250 plus for 3 sets of 10. Okay, is your row 2/3 of that? Is it 2/3? I don't know. I almost need to do some math. Let me bust out my calculator, because I'm sure by the time this video comes out, I'll be past the 250. I know I can do 255 this coming week. So we look at it and say 250 divided by 145. 172. 58%. You're getting close there, but you need to get that better. So you know your back, upper back, and middle back is probably getting decently close. What about your GoodMornings? 135. What do I do for 10s with the bar that we can use more weight on? We don't count the safety squat bar. But even if we did that, I'm over double. I do 385 pounds for sets of 10. 3 sets of 10 on the GoodMorning. That is well over double what you're doing. Even the hardest bar, the safety squat bar, which is way harder, I still do over double. Your hip extensors and your hamstrings are just not strong enough. You need to get stronger at these lifts. You have not put on the muscle that you need to pull that yet. And I suspect, based upon your ratios there, you're severely limited by your posterior chain, basically. That's what's limiting you. Because I have guys who are weak on rows who pull over 500, but they're monstrously strong on the GoodMornings. I have guys who need more work on the GoodMornings who are monstrously strong on rows who deadlift over 500. But in your case, you're below where you need to be on both lifts, right? Your rows are closer, but your GoodMornings need a ton of work. Right? They need a ton of work. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 2.